Hanna is strengthening, and we now have hurricane warnings along the Texas coast. I'm Mike Naso with the latest on the tropics as hurricane season 2020 heats up. Let's get right to it with Tropical Storm Hanna as of 4 p.m. Central. That's 5 p.m. Eastern. Hanna was at 27.3 north, 94.3 west. Winds are conservatively up to 50 miles an hour, moving west at 10. However, we now have hurricane warnings out for the Texas coastline from Baffin Bay to Mesquite Bay, Texas, as well as a storm surge warning from Baffin Bay to Sargent, Texas, with the expectation that Hanna, before landfall tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, will become a hurricane, Category 1, but it would be the first hurricane of the year, and it would be making U.S. landfall. And right now, that is the forecast. We also have a tropical storm warning from the mouth of the Rio Grande all the way up to Baffin Bay, including Mesquite Bay to San Luis Pass. You can see the track here with Hanna very straightforward. It's underneath a dome of high pressure, steering it straight west, maybe even west-southwest, making landfall somewhere on the South Texas coast in the general vicinity of Corpus Christi, but it could be Port Aransas, it could be Port O'Connor, it could be down more towards North Padre Island area here. Nevertheless, the threat of heavy rainfall, flash flooding, gusty winds, high surf, and storm surge are very real at this hour with Hanna. Now, taking a look at the satellite imagery, we have one healthy tropical storm on our hands, much better defined than yesterday. You can see it starting to close off an eye feature right in here, and it was dealing with a little bit of flatness on the northwest side, but as land kind of helps it tighten up, as well as the moistening of the environment to its northwest, it is looking like it will intensify into a hurricane prior to landfall. It still has 20 to 30 hours, especially with the turn. Remember, if it was just moving straight northwest, it'd be inland quicker. However, this westward movement and then even a west-southwest dip will keep it over water, and those are very hot waters, and the conditions are favorable for continued development. And so we're going to see this become a hurricane, it looks like, prior to landfall in Texas. Again, heavy rainfall is the main threat. You can see those totals are a lot higher than what I showed you yesterday. This is what would be right through the next, say, 1 to 3 days, and a lot of heavy rain for South Texas. I would say from Rockport south is where the brunt of the rain will be, but again, it's going to be a rainy week here along the northwest Gulf Coast as Hanna continues to push in, and that does increase the risk of flash flooding, especially down there in extreme South Texas. You guys could have water rises that happen very quickly. Storm surge with a hurricane, you got to worry about storm surge wherever you have an onshore flow. I know a lot of these bays they're very beautiful, there's good fishing, you get the sea trout, you get the redfish. Not this weekend, folks. We've got a landfalling tropical cyclone, and we will have storm surges 2 to 4 feet here in areas between Baffin Bay and Sargent, and so these little bays and estuaries in here could have flooding. Corpus Christi Bay, Capano Bay, San Antonio Bay, Matagorda Bay, Port O'Connor, all these areas will have water rises with the landfall of Hanna. So if you live in a low-lying area, listen to your local officials and overlook your hurricane plan as the system draws closer. There's the radar imagery. Look at that. It is cranking up an eye right now, right in here. This does make me apprehensive. And so even though we don't think it has enough time to become a significant hurricane, it looks like it could definitely be a hurricane, and that's why the Hurricane Center is forecasting that, and it looks like it's well on its way. We're going to see how much it strengthens overnight. Remember, it's going to be making landfall probably about 24 hours from now, so that gives it another day over those hot waters, so we'll see how strong it could get. Another look here. This is a microwave imagery, and clearly Hanna is developing an eye. And that inner core is what allows systems to strengthen. And as long as it doesn't have any dry air problems here, it should be able to crank up. So we're going to watch this very carefully along the Texas coastline. Now, if you're in the Windward Islands, I know I have a person who messaged me watching these updates yesterday from St. Vincent. Good news for you guys down there. Gonzalo has weakened. It looks very porous, down to 40 miles an hour. It's moving straight west at 18. It is no longer forecast to be a hurricane. See, the one we thought would be a hurricane probably won't be, and the one we didn't think would be a hurricane looks like it will be. That's hurricane season for you. Gonzalo's going to move through the southern windward islands with gusty winds and some rainfall. We do have a tropical storm warning for Barbados, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, as well as Tobago, Grenada, and the dependencies, as Gonzalo will move through the Caribbean and by Monday should dissipate here north of the areas there of Colombia and the South American coastline. We won't have to deal with Gonzalo anymore. And when we take a look at the satellite imagery, you can see it's almost not even discernible anymore that this is even a tropical cyclone, let alone a tropical storm. So just too much dry air here pushing and just really opening it up. That's great news for the islands. It doesn't look like Gonzalo will be a hurricane. There's still a chance it could burst a little bit as it moves through, but we're not going to have to deal with it. Very impressive tropical wave here north of Hispaniola, but that is not the one we're concerned about. We're concerned about our new Invest. This is 92L. Before you get a depression and then a storm with a name and a hurricane, they're labeled Invests, anything that looks like it is suspect for development. And in the Atlantic, we name them 90L to 99L, and we go back and forth. So this is 92L, and this is the wave leaving Africa that just left Africa, and the computer models show it moving generally to the west. So if you're in the islands of the Greater Antilles here and the U.S. Virgin Islands, keep an eye. You have plenty of time to watch it, but computer models do show this potentially becoming a significant feature down the road. And the next name on our list is Isaias. Okay, so we'll see if this becomes Isaias over the next, 2 to 4 days. Very active tropics. There you can see there's that wave, and for late July, that is an impressive, scary wave. This is the one that some of the computer models have really being a problem down the road. And with that high pressure dominant in the Atlantic steering stuff west, I don't see anything to stop it, at least getting pretty far towards the Caribbean in the long range. You can see there's Gonzalo, almost not even discernible, and of course our Hanna strengthening there in the western Gulf of Mexico. Here are the key messages for Tropical Storm Hanna. Number 1, there is a danger of life-threatening storm surge from Baffin Bay to Sargent, Texas, and they have that storm surge warning in effect. Number 2, hurricane conditions, a hurricane, is expected along the Texas coast, anywhere from Baffin Bay to Mesquite Bay, where that hurricane warning is in effect, and tropical storm conditions will reach that area first by tomorrow morning. And number 3, Hanna will produce heavy rain across South Texas and northern Mexico, and that could cause life-threatening flash flooding. Okay? So Hanna means business, and that's why we're going to continue to watch it overnight. We'll see how much it strengthens, but it definitely appears to be organizing more there on the northwest side, curling up and developing an eye. So Hanna looks like she will be the first hurricane of the 2020 season, a season that already has broken records with the H storm before the month of August, and if that wave develops, we'll get the I storm. Unprecedented, I'll tell you. Unprecedented. I did want to touch on Hurricane Douglas, still a powerful hurricane in the Pacific. It is forecast across the Hawaiian Islands here on Sunday, but be weakening, but be close to hurricane strength, and there is a hurricane watch out for the state of Hawaii. The big island of Hawaii is under a hurricane watch, including Maui County, including Maui, Lani, Molokai, and Kalawa'olawe. I'm not used to pronouncing those Hawaiian islands, but Kalawa'olawe. The islands. The big island is under a hurricane watch because Douglas will probably be near hurricane strength as he crosses. And when you look at the satellite right now, that is an impressive donut out there. The Hawaiian Islands are right in here, and there is Douglas, and so we'll see the impacts to Hawaii. Stay tuned for further updates on Hanna, as it is expected to be a hurricane at landfall tomorrow along the Texas coast, and we will be back with more updates as the situation progresses.